What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm joined by
Gershwan.
We're back to answer your questions in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. And this question comes from Luca Lovrick. He asks, which dreadnought is the strongest? Leviathan, Venerable, or Redemptor?
Well, from what we know about technology and space marine equipment and weaponry and stuff like that, everything was more advanced back during the Horus Heresy, during the 30K era. So based on that, the Leviathan would be the better choice. Stronger armor, better integration with their sarcophagus, core. Also, the Space Marine within it had a bit more control and more mobility, as well as more firepower available to that system.
And on the tabletop, that is also true.
Yeah. I remember a single Leviathan tore through your entire army of orcs.
12,000 points, 1250 points of orcs fighting against the Leviathan. And now that I'm thinking about it, that was post Codex, though. That was like the, what is that? The thing that they made us buy?
Oh, the Index.
Yeah, it was the Index orcs.
Index orcs against Codex Marines.
With a Leviathan.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yeah, and we it was just funny. It was a 1v1v1, and literally one model tied you enough to basically make it a 1v1 against me and the other person.
Yep. Even though Leviathans are expensive on the tabletop, what are they, 300?
Around that, depending on what you equipped them with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not to say the other two types, like Venerable, Dreadnoughts, are weak. They're also pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just that with the loss of technology that the Imperium has gone through, it's not up to where it used to be.
Right.
Just like how plasma guns were safer and stronger back in the day than they are currently.
Next question comes from Tinman 40,000. Who's more loyal, Deathcore of Grigor or the Sisters of Battle?
Sisters of Battle, I'd say. And their loyalty stems from not just dying for the Imperium, because that's what the Kriegers do, but they have more devotion, more hope. They actually see the Imperium as like a really great thing.
Yeah, they're zealots. The
Exactly.
Sisters of Battle are zealots, and they do what they do because they want to. Whereas the Deathcore of Krieg, if you check out our 40 facts on the Deathcore of Krieg, you know that the world of Krieg, the planet of Krieg, actually rebelled against the Imperium. There was a huge, drawn-out conflict, basically a civil war within the planet. And the reason the Deathcore of Krieg is like forced to send so many of their men to fight, and women, because of that rebellious action in the past. So they're kind of like being forced to do what they do, whereas the Sisters of Battle are not forced. They're brainwashed.
Yeah.
Next question. I have one from Random Clips. How many hours of sleep does each major race need?
Space Marines don't need sleep.
No, I think they still get it.
Yeah, but they don't need it.
Yeah, the longest is a Crimson Fist Space Marine who lasted 438 days or something like that, or 500 and something.
It was a long time.
Yeah. Without sleep. Orcs.
Do orcs sleep?
I don't think orcs sleep either. I think orcs just kind of like, they feed off of the WAAAGH energy. If there is no WAAAGH energy, so if they're just feral orcs, every now and then they'll take a nap. Eldar, they meditate like the elves in D&D. What is it, 45 minutes?
It don't matter. You just gotta meditate. I think it's like an hour
or something like that.
Something like that.
Tau?
Now that I think about it, I don't even know. I mean, that would make sense because they go into cryo sleep, but I think that's just to preserve like their commanders when they really need them. But I can see them sleeping. Their slits close.
So nothing gets in?
Yeah.
That's how they
Or
sleep.
out.
Next question comes from Lux. What do you think the future of 40K looks like with primaries, both in the lore and in the game? Well, the easy one to answer is the game.
Mm-hmm.
In the game, Primaris are going to dominate.
Oh, yeah.
We're already seeing, like, all the name characters getting Primaris. Pretty soon it's going to be everything Primaris. If you come to the tabletop with an old school Space Marine list, you're going to be handicapped based on the stat line, and you're going to look dumb. Because your minis are going to be like little bits.
Yeah.
Now lore. What do you think?
I really do feel that the Chaos factions are going to get a hold of Primaris Gene Seed and create their own beefier versions of Chaos Space Marines.
I agree with that. I think, what is it, Fabius Bile?
Mm-hmm.
He's really going to, like, come into something.
Yeah.
And just spew out, like, some gross ass.
It's already hinted at that he's already, like, experimenting with, like, corpses of Primaris. So it's only a matter of time.
Yep.
And maybe we'll see Primaris Demon Primarchs.
Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa.
Next question comes from Nader Potato. Who would win in a fight between Abaddon and the Catan Deceiver Shard?
Well, Abaddon, because Abaddon is powered by Chaos, and as we all know, Chaos is very, very powerful against Catan.
Yep, even especially a Shard.
Mm-hmm. This next one is by AMS. How do you think that the Elrics from Fullmetal Alchemist would do in the 40K universe? I think that would be a really cool crossover. Well, as we've seen, when you go from the world of Fullmetal Alchemist to another world, like they did in the original Fullmetal Alchemist, he wasn't able to use his alchemy. So seeing as how I don't think alchemy exists in the 40K universe, he'd basically just be a really smart human. Like, he can't use alchemy. He'd have to, like, adapt, and I mean, he'd do all right because he's like a smart guy, but I don't see them prospering too well.
He'll get some cool augmetics though.
Yeah,
because that's his whole thing, right?
Right, but I mean, when he went from this world to the next, he was already
augmented.
Yeah. But I mean, it'd be cool to have like a maybe a Necron arm instead of his auto mail or something.
Next question comes from Hollow Inside. How are humans from the Hive cities recruited for the Imperial Guard? So they go to the Underhive and they just round up a bunch of like miscreants. And yeah, there's a lot of art for that, especially the old school Necromunda.
Mm-hmm.
It has like the patrol, what is it called? The Adeptus Arbites?
Mm-hmm. The Judge Dredd.
Yeah, basically taking a bunch of like gangers and putting them into the Penal Legion or putting them into some type of legion for a tithe. Next one.
Soul Survivor. Can Necron Cryptek Chronomancers travel through time? From what I believe they can, but they can't necessarily change time. For example, there was a Chronomancer who kept going to a battle where he needed to beat the Ultramarines, but time after time he kept losing. No matter what he did, how he changed the tactics and stuff like that, they'd still lose. So I think when it comes to like time travel and stuff in 40K, it's pretty linear. You can just go back in time, but you can't really change things that have already happened.
I watched I think it's Minute Science, and he was talking about how Harry Potter has the best time travel explanation because it doesn't really create any loopholes. It's just like them going back in time to influence themselves, and they have already influenced themselves from the past. So it's kind of like the same thing, right? Like no matter what, destiny is still there and it all has already happened.
Right.
Hagrid. Next question comes from Last Burn. How much is a starship in the Imperium? And how does one raise enough money to be a rogue trader? So starships at the Imperium are extremely expensive. You couldn't just like buy one. You would have to be born into royalty and have the means to not even like build your own ship, because the ships that are being built in the 40K timeline or like in the 42nd millennium are nothing compared to the starships that were created back then. During the Unification War and during the Great Crusade is when most of the starships were created, and that is when like the Sol system was like teeming with like technological advancement, because they were building these ships to go out and explore the regions of space that were lost. Nowadays, they're just relics. Spaceships are relics, so you would have to buy it from somebody that lost it. Now, rogue traders, same thing. Going back to the Dark Crusade, rogue traders were given a warrant to go out and explore the galaxy in the name of the Emperor, and that warrant is passed down from generation to generation, kind of like a king or queen. Mm-hmm. And you need to protect that warrant, because if you lose that warrant, your family loses it and you're done. There are no like modern rogue traders. Well, if you're a modern rogue trader, you probably stole the warrant of trade from another trader house. Yeah, Trader Joe's.
I've never been there, actually.
Yeah, neither have I. I hear a lot about it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
I got a pretty good one here. This one's by Benjamin Manning. If the Chaos Gods never ended up taking the Primarchs off of Terra, do you think that this would overall help the Imperium? On one side, the Emperor has all his children at the beginning of the Great Crusade, yet on the other, some Primarchs lose the vital, unique experiments that they would have gained from joining the Imperium and having their own homeworlds. It's true, but I think with the Emperor having all of his children with him, not having to traverse the galaxy, find his sons, almost repurpose them to become Primarchs, they would have been way better off. Because Angron wouldn't have been mad at his dad. He wouldn't have ever had that bond with his gladiator warriors and resentment towards the Emperor. He'd be already on the Emperor's side, fighting for the Emperor. Overall, no matter what Primarch you take, yes, they lose all these unique experiences, but they gain their original purpose, which was to serve the Emperor, unify the Imperium, and then be discarded like the Iron Warriors.
That's a good
not
point.
The Iron Warriors, the Thunder Warriors.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because even if one Primarch, Horus, would have betrayed the Emperor, the rest of them wouldn't have been shipped. And the reason that the Civil War and Horus Heresy was so crazy was because, like you said, Angron, all of those Primarchs that grew up with a chip on their shoulder, that chip wouldn't exist.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. But then they'd all be fighting for the Emperor's attention. Like, it's my week. You just spent all last week with Ferris.
Maybe.
Yeah. Who knows?
Next question comes from AT. Is Malice the Emperor? Both required sacrifice of human followers who entered real space. So we've talked about Malice before. He's the 5th Chaos God that was deleted from the lore of Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, he does not exist.
Due to like IP issues or something like that. No, he's not. The Emperor is something completely different, and the Emperor existed even when Malice existed.
Right.
He kind of fills the role of like, the Emperor is the anti-chaos, but not like a renegade, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, the Emperor is not chaos fighting chaos. That's what Malau is been.
Yeah. Next question.
This one's from Pineapple. If Drago fell to chaos, which god would he be? Malice or something else? So again, Malice doesn't exist. However, there's rumors that there is a Silver Knight of Slaanesh, which could be Drago. But Drago's been known to not be tainted or corrupted from chaos. But say he did fall into chaos, I feel like Khorne would make most sense.
You think so?
Yeah.
I did the 40 facts on the Palace of Slaanesh. You guys should check it out. And I could see how that, like, all of those, because it's divided into 7 little realms. I could see how those realms would corrupt anybody.
Right.
Especially the last 2.
But yeah. I'm already corrupted just by reading them.
Yes. And those are the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. We do this a lot. Talk to you tomorrow.
This is the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
We're out.